Monday. As I said before, everybody's work week is different. Some people have 7-day weeks, some people have 5-day weeks, 4-day weeks, etc. My daughter-in-law, for instance, has got different kind of weeks because she sometimes works long shifts and therefore she works less days in the week. And she's a nurse. So what has that got to do with the reading today? Well, nothing except that everything is interconnected and there's a reason for everything. Today's reading, I would say it's neither simple nor complex, somewhere in between. It's called Seeds Not Yet Planted. Seeds Not Yet Planted. First quote is from somebody who's very famous, at least in the US, George Washington Carver. African-American, great inventor, great personality, and obviously a writer. He says, I never have to grope for methods. The method is revealed at the moment I'm inspired to create something new. I never have to grope for methods. The method is revealed at the moment I am inspired to create something new. So there you go, George Washington Carver. Holmes' words are from Words That Heal Today. It's on page 98, at least of the version that Reverend Jesse read. This is what he has to say. Perhaps we have waited for some great occasion, some spectacular event when, with heroic resolve, we shall proclaim the kingdom of God. And having waited, nothing has happened, while the days gather in themselves into years. And the years die, and hope vanishes, and faith sinks into despair. We have failed to realize that the unplanted seed can never grow. The unused talent can never multiply. And then he refers to God. He says, the great revelator proclaims the eternal day, the everlasting hour, that minute of time compressed from eternity and expanding again into eternity. Now is the day of salvation. The harvest is ripe today. There is no future to us other than that which presses itself forth from our present. Words that heal today. Well, I'm going to let Reverend Jesse's words proclaim what this means, and then I'll give you my 10 cents worth. The value we seek in life is not conferred from outside of us, but is generated within. We wait and have patience after the metaphorical planting time. With faith and conviction, we choose a desired outcome and feel it to be so, even before the slightest evidence of its physical presence. Examples of this are boundless, but let's go with the seed idea. This particular seed is going to grow into a vegetable, which will become part of a meal, to then convert itself into bodily strength and well-being. None of this happens if that seed goes unplanted. It takes resolve to imagine and give one's heart to a reality as yet tangible, but that at the same time, that's just how planting and maturation work. Dreams come true, but first they must be dreamt. I think probably the easiest way to look at this is to look at it as the difference between wishful thinking and actually getting down to the basics of doing visualization and spiritual mind treatment to bring something about. That's the way that I look at it. You keep, well, I wish this would happen, or you kind of think in your mind, yeah, it'd be kind of nice, and you imagine these different things, but they just remain at that kind of loose level. And it's not until we actually firm it up and declare that it's real that it starts to happen, as I said, with visualization and spiritual mind treatment, affirmative prayer. That's when we actually change it from a wishful thinking kind of idea into actually a purposeful determination that this is what is going to happen, and then have the courage and conviction to release it into divine law so that it can happen, and to be grateful that this is happening. Why is the gratitude so important? Because it means you can only be grateful for something if you really know it's going to happen. Otherwise, they're just empty words. But if you really feel gratitude for something that's going to happen, you're convinced now that it's going to happen. Whereas I said, otherwise, it's just wishful thinking and it's just kind of floating around there. So that's really the difference here. It's between wishful thinking on the one hand and actually getting down to the concrete work of knowing the truth that it's going to happen. So that's my explanation of this. I don't think it needs much more explanation. Do you? I don't. Well, if you do, let me know, and I can always do some more explaining. But I think what I've said is sufficient. Straight to the point. Let's face it, Occam's razor. Some of you know what Occam's razor is? The simplest solution is usually the best one. And the shortest route is often the best one. And the shortest route to an explanation is often the best one. So there we are. My thoughts cease hindering the outflow of the indwelling presence. That's slightly different than what he's been saying. My thoughts cease hindering the outflow of the indwelling presence. In other words, if I'm just being hairy-fairy about it, I'm preventing something from that's really going to happen. But when I get down to that concrete determination and knowledge and knowingness that something's going to happen, that is when things truly will happen. And that's all I've got to say. Reverend Lisa will be back tomorrow morning at 9-ish, 9:30-ish. Tonight is our Bible class once more, which you can still join if you send an email to info@creativelife.org. And tomorrow is Mycelium of the Mind, which if you want to join that, you can send an email also to info@creativelife.org, and you'll get all the details about it. And then you can sign up for it tomorrow evening. So until next time, I have to go. I have things to do. I have to get into class in a couple of hours. So until next time, namaste.